Okay, Group 2, you are welcome to deliver your answer.
Good morning to doctor and my fellow friends. My name is Song Xiaochen with metric number 2655992. I'm the representative of Group 2 to present tutorial 2 question 1. Next. The question is discuss the characteristics of Westminster model of Supreme Audit Institution. Westminster model, also known as Anglo-Saxon or parliamentary model and practice in most Commonwealth countries. Audit institutions in Malaysia are practice a Westminster model and known as a National Audit Department. Intrinsically linked to a system of parliamentary accountability where Parliament authorizes future expenditure by the executive branch. All public bodies need to produce annual accounts and then audited by the SAI, which produces and submits its audit findings to parliamentary bodies such as a Public Account Committee. The PAC issues its own report and recommendations to the government response. Next. This model is characterized by a national audit office with a single head, often called the Auditor General, who may be an officer of Parliament. All rights, powers, and responsibilities are typically vested in the Auditor General personally, rather than in NAO as an institution, with strong safeguards to ensure that the independence of the Auditor General. The rule of Auditor General may be combined with that of Controller, which function is one of control rather than audit and is performed in advance of expenditure being incurred. A mechanism, whether formal or by convention, whereby the government is required to respond to PAC reports and state the action it is taking to implement recommendations. An active Public Accounts Committee which works closely with NAO and can examine any and all areas of government expenditure. The committee typically is chaired by a member of the opposition and bases most of its work on the reports of the Auditor General. Next. Under a Westminster system, the role of Auditor General may be combined with that controller. The controller function is one of control rather than audit and is performed in advance of expenditure being incurred. The controller is required to authorize Ministry of Finance requisitions from central funds to departmental accounts. Supreme audit institutions are the national bodies responsible for scrutinizing public expenditure and providing an independent opinion on how the executive has used public resources. PAC is the main user of any audit report produced by the NAD, where PAC needs to examine the Audit General's report pertaining to whether the monies appropriated or spent according to the authorized limit, approved rules and regulations. NAD is a government agency responsible to AG, which executes its tasks transparently while ensuring a perfect public financial management. Are companies with related rules and laws disclose factors or elements that do not contribute to the effectiveness, efficiency, and economics related to the accounts. Next. The strength of it is a great deal of authority is central on a single individual. The Auditor General making his or her position very powerful. The weak the weakness of it is risk of abuse of power in the wrong hands. Ensuring integrity and credibility from the head of SAI is important because power is considerably centralized. The institution's reputation relies highly on this one individual's capabilities and qualifications. The example is Anglo-Saxon countries such as United States, United Kingdom, Canada, almost all its most Commonwealth countries. European countries such as Ireland, Denmark, Latin American countries such as Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Australia case. Okay, this is all my part. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so thank you for group 2. So now we invite group 7 for question 2. Okay, group 7. Okay, group 7, I didn't hear your voice. Okay, so looking at group 7 have a problem here. So I would like to call the group 3, sorry, group 8 to deliver the question 3. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. And Dr. Anand, thank you for that. I will continue to explain about the financial management accountability change process in Malaysia. After the budget was approved at the parliament stage, and then the approved budget will be distributed to all the responsibility centers by the finance minister in the form of an allocation warrant. However, a general warrant will serve as an authority to utilize the consolidated fund required for the expenditure, and then will distribute to the Accountant General Department Office. And then during the year, all the responsibility centers are responsible to record all the accounting expenditure of or revenue and transmit the data daily to the Accountant General Department Office. And then at the end of the year, the Accountant General Department Office will prepare the financial statement for the government based on the accounting record transmitted by the responsibility centers. And then it will be audited by the Auditor General Office, and then the audited financial statement will be tabled in the Parliament for the approval to discharge the government financial management accountability. And then the Public Account Committee will further examine any account that cause any doubt based on the Auditor General Office report at the Parliament stage. And then in summary, this process is concerned with the responsibility of all the parties involved, which is the Federal Treasury, and then the Parliament Responsibility Center, the Accountant General Department Office, the Auditor General Office, and then the last is the Public Account Committee. That's all from our team. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Group 3, and then we call Group 3 to deliver question 4.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good morning, Doctor and fellow friends. I hope you can hear me well.
Okay, continue.
So we are from Group 3. We'll be presenting our answer for question 4, which is describe the mechanisms to measure the public sector performance. Public sector performance can be measured with mechanisms like labor and capital productivity, ROI, customer satisfaction, and service quality. So the first mechanism is labor and capital productivity. It is the rate at which the inputs are turned into desirable outputs in the public sector, which is measured by its productivity. It can be divided into 3, which are employee level, organizational level, and general public sector. The data from this productivity level can be useful to policymakers as it is traced in timely manner. So the policymaker can identify the good and the bad performer and determine the factors associated to their strong performances and also calculate the return of our government spending. So the information gained by the policymaker is useful in future to a better public resource allocation and enhance the impact of our national treasury. For the second mechanism, I'll pass this presentation to my next roommate. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I will proceed the presentation with the return on investment ROI. ROI are useful for HR, education, performance and improvement programs. ROI calculation provides a clear image of the evaluation for every sort of program or solution in any public sector organization. We need to meet the requirements to have an effective ROI. The first one is the process must be simple, understandable, economical, and well implemented. The second one is assumptions and methodology must be credible, consist of logical and methodical steps. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
So lastly, I will explain on the measuring the public sector performance using customer certification and service quality mechanism. So in order to achieve public sector certification, public sector must provide good service quality to the community. So the example of customer of government are citizen, corporation, public and private employee. Therefore, government responsible to deliver information and service via agency, department and ministry. And if the customer not satisfied, means that the public sector does not achieve certain standard of the customer satisfaction and will result in more complaint in future. Therefore, the government can conduct performance analysis, collecting data using cross-sectional self-administered questionnaire to public servant in improving the customer satisfaction and service quality. So that's all from our group for answer for question 4.
Okay, so thank you, Group 3. So we call Group 1 for question number 5.
Okay, good day to Dr. and my fellow friends. My name is Sipsini, metric number 272111. I'm the representative of the Group 1 to discuss about the question 5, which is discuss the Parliament oversight mechanisms and tool over the public sector financial management in Malaysia. Okay, in theoretical theory that the Parliament as a country main political institutions keep the governments accountable, and the government officials as a servant of the public are held to accountable to the people through the Parliament. The powers and the function of the legislative branch in the federal government are exercised by the Parliament. In addition to legislating, the legislature is responsible for oversight of the actions of the executive to ensure that what is implemented is consistent with what is legislated. The Member of Parliament play the role of watchdog in all government executive activity. There are various oversight tools can be used to perform the oversight work, which included ombudsman, committees of inquiry, auditing institutions, specialized parliamentary committees, public hearings, interpretations that may end with a vote in the chamber. Okay. The first tool is the ombudsman. The Parliament appoints an ombudsman who is responsible for conducting investigation of public authorities in response to complaint or requests from the Parliament. Ombudsman usually examine whether the workings of the administration or the volunteering conduct are in accordance with the principles of good governance. As a result, they are important in examining the government transparency and openness. While for the public hearings, either in plenary or committee meetings, the tool is the primary tool of the parliaments for obtaining information related with the specific policies or issues. While the third tool is the interpellations. Member of Parliament also use a formal mechanism known as the interpellations to demand that the government member or the entire government to give the justification of the certain policy. It can allow for extensive debate on the policy at hand or lead to a word of approval or disapproval of the issue under the discussion. Next, the member of Parliament also can utilize the oversight instruments such as the questions and the supplemental questions, debates, and motion, which allow them to monitor the works of the various ministries of the government and those of the senior bureaucrats with this ministry. The purpose of the question is to clarify or discuss the government policy, and if the answer is unsatisfactory, it may lead to the interpretation where the rules allow. These oversight tools may help to identify the negligence and the deregulations of the duty on the part of the government, thus keeping the bureaucracy under effective control. Lastly, the Public Account Committee is another feasible and powerful accountability tool in the Malaysia Parliament. The PAC is in charge of examining the government accounts and the Auditor General reports. Since the PAC has been given the authority to summon individuals, documents, and records from any ministry, the public official may be called before the PAC to clarify any financial irregularities in their ministry. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Group 1, for question number 5. So we next question number 6 by Group 4.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Dr. Engko and my fellow friends. I am the representative of Group 4. Slide. Today I'm going to present our group answer for question 6, which is about by providing a relevant example, differentiate between the output, outcomes, and impacts indicators of performance measurement. We differentiate the output, outcomes, and impacts according to the definition, social value, performance criterion, and examples. Based on the definition, the output is the service provided or produced product, while the outcome is the purpose that is achieved by producing the service or produce the goods. And the impacts is the value added from the activity or the gross outcome minus the contribution from other entities or activities. Next slide. The social value for output is approximated by the market price for the same or the closest equivalent service, or in its absence, by total unit cost. While outcome social value is very subjective and arbitrary, except as revealed by public reaction in the political arena. And impact social value is nearly impossible to measure. Next slide. The performance criterion for output is efficiency, which is to minimize the total input cost per unit of output or to maximize the quantity of output in relation to a given total cost of inputs. While outcomes performance criterion is effectiveness, which is to maximize outcomes in relation to the outputs produced. And impacts performance criterion is nearly impossible to measure. Next slide. For the example of output, outcomes, and impacts is based on a project of building a school. The output from building a school project is provide education service to the children, while the outcome from this project is reduce illiteracy in the society. The impact from the building a school project is create an educated society that can use their knowledge to contribute to the development and advancement of a country. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Group 4. So we call Group 5 to provide the answer for question 7.
Can you hear me, Doctor?
Yeah.
So I am the representative from Group 5. My name is Muhammad Izzuddin Yusuf, and I will present on the question 7. Based on Auditor General Malaysian views, describe how can NAD contribute effectively in ensuring better financial management accountability in Malaysia. So based on Auditor General Malaysian views, it is described that NAD can contribute effectively to ensure better financial management accountability in Malaysia by introducing participative audit approach. This is to create a better interaction between the auditor and auditees. However, despite of having a participative audit approach, the audit procedure will still align with the audit objectivity and be done with independence and integrity. It's also been said that auditees now recognize the value added from the audit process because it's helped them in enhancing accountability, good governance, financial, and overall management of the organization. So, one of the initiatives taken by NAD to ensure better financial management accountability in Malaysia is the first one is NAD issue a balanced audit report in the short bar. Balanced audit report issued by NAD will consist of explanation and feedbacks from the auditees on issue raised. The audit report also recognize any innovation, improvement, and good practice introduced by auditees. This is to spur the auditees to improve further as well as to set their achievement as benchmark to others. Besides, management audit on agencies also is being performed by NAD, which this include on the aspect of organization management, budget control, expenditure and revenue control, investment control, and asset and store control. The outcome of this report will directly reported to minister who are in charge with the agency to give them a first-hand feedback on the overall performance of the agency. Secondly, NAD also disclose audit report to third parties. The audit report will be easily accessible from NAD website once the report is being tabled in the parliament. The third parties such as media, NGO, parliamentarians, central authorities, and public will have the direct impact from the audit report, as they are lately becoming more vocal towards raising issue on government financial management and performance. Not to mention, some of them also even act as the whistleblower by furnishing the information to the NAD for investigation. Moreover, Public Account Committee (PAC) also had been briefed about the report, and they have decided to call up a few ministers or agency for explanation. The third one is NAD actively engaged in government effort to educate and increase awareness on the issue of accountability, good governance, transparency, and integrity. This awareness is being raised among the politicians, government officers, and other related parties that are interested with the issue. Fourth is NAD issue the best practice guide. It acts as an output from audits conduct on specific area to serve as useful guides and as benchmarking. And lastly, NAD assists the organization in risk assessment. NAD assists by identifying potential hazard, its likelihood to occur, and the consequences to the organization if they will occur. It is important to identify risk as it can mitigate potential risk and help to identify the parties or individuals involved if they are accountable for their action or not. So, for the last word, all of this development will contribute towards better transparency and accountability for the government.
Okay, so thank you. Group 5. So we call the questions AA by group 6.
Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. and my I'm Fazila from Group 6 represent for my group. Next slide please. Today I'm going to present a roles and responsibility of audit committee in Malaysia public sector. Next slide. The roles of the audit committee is to provide independent assurance and advice in related to internal control, rules and regulation, and any requirement. The audit committee need expert people in order to give advice and knowledge. So according to Federal Treasury Circular number 3.2 2013, the responsibility of the audit committee is to consider on the recommendation or the outcome from the internal review to improve the performance and internal audit quality assurance. So the audit plan is provided by the internal audit unit and need approval from the Chief Secretary Officer CSO and also State Secretary Officer SSO before submitting to the Malaysian Treasury. So the audit committee is responsible to review and make any recommendation for the audit scope and audit focus on the annual plan. After get the approval from CSO and also SSO, the annual plan will be submitted to Malaysia Treasury. Next slide, please. The audit committee is need to ensure that the internal audit unit has sufficient resources and competent staff to facilitate their job effectively, such as the audit committee need to ensure the internal audit unit has sufficient resources in preparing the report on audit finding and perform the statement of justification. By ensuring the internal audit unit to have a competent staff, the job performed will be done according to the plan and it can be avoid the job to become tedious. For the job to be performed effectively, the internal control need to be observed. So the audit committee is responsible to review and study the organization management information system as well as the internal control to ensure its integrity of the organization. Next is, as an earlier warning for the witnesses in the federal ministry or state government, the audit committee is responsible to report on whether the accounting system, finance system, and control is exist effectively in both federal minister and the state government. The responsibility of the audit committee is also to provide oversight on the internal audit unit and the national audit department report to ensure that all the findings and the matters that has been reported are resolved with convincing and with a rectified follow-up action, which is the audit committee will check the matter in the audit report that matter by monitoring the agency performance regarding on the highlight issue. This is because the agency has a responsible to ensure that the service is according with their objective as well as comply with the law, rules and regulation. So the audit committee is responsible in oversight the audit finding report aligned with the agency performance. Next, the audit committee also have responsible toward the implementation of the internal audit, where they need to ensure that there are no improper restrictions of limitation that might affect their job and ensuring that inappropriate access of the information should be given to the internal audit unit. That's all from me and my group. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Group 6. So we call Group 9 for question 8B.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to Dr. Engku and my fellow classmates. My name is Idawati binti Masarapi and I am the representative of Group 9. And today I will present the question number 8, the roles and responsibilities of internal audit in Malaysian public sector. Next. Okay, so internal audit function is defined as an independent function with the purpose of assisting the organization to achieve its objective through systematic and disciplined approach in order to evaluate and determine the effectiveness of process control and governance. Next. Next, I will continue with the roles of internal audit in public sector. The first one is for control. It is to determine that internal control is in place by reviewing policies and practice in the organization. This is with the purpose to avoid loss of financial resources, to avoid non-compliance, and to provide reasonable assurance that public money has been spent in an efficient and effective manner. And the second one is governance. This is to ensure better governance in managing public money. And the last one is risk management. This is to assist public sector entities in achieving their objectives effectively, efficiently, economically, and ethically by providing unbiased and objective assessment. Next. There are two main responsibilities of internal audit in public sector. The first one to carry out financial management audit, which includes the examination of financial systems, internal control and financial record with the purpose to determine expenses, revenues, assets and stores have been managed according to law, regulation and related guidelines. And the second responsibility is to conduct the performance audit, which include the assessment on activities of an organization in order to determine if goals have been achieved and resources are being used on a regular basis, prudent, efficient, and effective manner. Next. That's all from me. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so thank you, Group 9.
Yes, sir.
And the last one we call Group 10 to answer the question number 9.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to Dr. Engku and also my fellow friends. My name is Nur Shamini binti Muhammad Rushdi, matrix number 272771. I am the representative for my group, which is Group 10. We would like to discuss three main performance measurements indicator that practice in Malaysian public sector organizations. So there are three main performance measurement methods that implement in Malaysia public sector, which are: first is the academy, efficiency and effectiveness method, which is in short 3Es. Next is key performance indicator, which is KPIs, and lastly is audit star rating, which is FMAI. So first, the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness methods. What is the economy? Economy is an indicator about overall cost and revenues. Effectiveness is an indicator about achieving the objective and describe the extent which objective have been achieved. Efficiency is an indicator that evaluates the relationship between input and output. So these 3Es is conducted by the NAD for each public sector organizations to measure the performance of budget expenditure toward activities and program approved. The result of these 3Es represent the achievement of operational objective or short-term objective. The aim of these 3Es is to enhance the efficiency of public administration budget spending. And next is the key performance indicator, KPIs. These KPIs are tools that used to improve service delivery system, and it is useful as a measuring tools for continuous improvement by focusing on outcomes rather than the processes. These KPIs are aimed to boost the performance of the civil service in line with the government efforts to improve public service delivery system, and as assurance that the element of integrity and good governance are being carried out. There are 4 aspects of KPIs, which are efficiency and effectiveness of the process of the service delivery. Next is human resource, financial productivity, and also customer satisfaction towards the service delivered, service received. The KPI process are first to identify of the key performance indicator, and then set up the performance target, and then continuously measure and evaluate the performance based on the KPIs, and next continuously monitor the performance, and lastly continuously improve the performance. And last is the audit star rating. Audit star rating is introduced in 2007 by NAD as part and parcel of NAD responsibility in financial management accountability, and primarily developed based on Financial Management Accountability Index, which is FMAI. This method measures the performance based on the compliance toward the Financial Management Accountability Index that developed based on 8 different areas that related with financial management, which are management controls, budget controls, receipt controls, spending controls, management of trust funds, assets and store management, investment and loan management, and lastly, financial statements. The performance achieved is based on score obtained by the public sectors, and the overall score will be rated and converted to the star rating. And that's all from our group. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Group 10. And then the last we call back for the Group 7 to deliver the answer for question number 2.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Nur Shazana binti Mat Dahari. I'm the representative for Group 7. We will present the question 2 for tutorial 2. The question 2 is to discuss the scope and the types of audit need to be performed by NAD. Financial reporting requirement and performance indicator governance are varied between the jurisdiction and type of activity performed. Therefore, government auditors need to understand the program operation and success of progress of government attain good governance. To Article 0 and 0 and the Federal Constitution, the auditing is the General to audit the management entities of ministry, departments, agencies, as well as management of federal government, companies or agency, and submit the report to YDPA for His Royal Assent to table the report in Parliament. Therefore, Malaysian National Audit Department NAD carry out 4 types of audit, which are compliance audit, attestation audit, performance auditing, and corporate governance auditing. First, let's take a look at compliance audit, also known as financial management auditing and accountability index, being conducted to evaluate whether the financial management of the federal ministry or department or federal in accordance with relevant financial law and regulation and in line with ISSAI 4000 and 4200. Compliance audit covers a broader scope of engagement than financial audit, with a purpose to ensure that all financial records are in compliance with the rule, regulation, or term of the contract. The NAD will examine and review the transaction of activity of the ministry, department, or agency to determine whether they have performed all laws and regulation. For example, NAD verify whether the income and expenditure of government department have been authorized and spent for the designated purpose. Secondly, we have attestation audit. It is to provide opinion on whether the federal, state government, federal and state statutory body, local authorities, Islamic Religious Council and other entities public show a true and fair picture of financial performance and the cash flow are in line with the approved financial reporting standard in Malaysia. The scope of financial audit require the auditor to examine the internal control procedure and test the accuracy of certain financial transaction and balance. There are certain related objectives, which is ensuring that the entity comply with the law and regulation that may have a material effect on the financial statement, providing special report on selected account or item of financial statement, issuing letters for underwriter or other parties, and reviewing interim financial data. Financial audit are undertaken to enable the NAD to express an opinion as to whether the financial and fairly reflect the financial position of the public enterprise concerned at a given rate. Next, we have the performance auditing. Performance auditing, also referred to as operation audit, which an examination designed to determine whether the organization in question is performing economically efficiently in use of resource, operation, procedure, and pursuit of objective. It is intended to achieve various of different objectives, which is measuring the intent which a program and activity are achieving its goal and objective, determining whether the entity is using its resource and in the most effective and economical manner, determine whether internal control are effective in relation to management goals and objectives, providing guidance as to organization can improve the future, verifying whether the organization is complying with the term of law, grant, and contract. NAD also carry out on a cyclical basis and independent of the routine financial and compliance audit of departmental undertaking and statutory authorities. Area of the audit is included procurement, construction system, program implementation, maintenance, and management of revenue. Conducting a performance auditing has two main objectives, which is to assist the legislature in exercising effective legislative control and oversight. And for the second is to assist public sector manager by identifying and promoting better management practice. Lastly, we have corporate governance auditing. According to Section 5.1 Subclass D of the Audit 1957, mandates the Auditor General to carry out audit of government company and subsidiary who receive grant or loan from the federal or state, including any company in which the government's equity holding exceeds 50%, provided it to receive the favor of His Majesty the YDPA. Therefore, NAD perform audit on the management and activities of governing company or its subsidiary. Meanwhile, the audit of the company financial statement is still carried out by the auditors appointed by the company as prescribed under the Company Act 1965. The coverage of the corporate governance auditing is including the aspect of planning, implementation and monitoring of the company management, including the activities or operation carried out by the company with the determining whether the fund contributed by the governance or the government agency are managed and used in accordance with the state objective. The aspect that is emphasized in this corporate governance auditing includes the strategic planning and company management, financial performance, financial management, activity management, and lastly, monitoring of parent or subsidiary. That's all from group 2, from group 7. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all. Based on the answer that you have given, I found that some of the group prepared consider okay, another is not so well, not just in terms of the answer, but also in terms of the presentation, which is some group take a very what we call very lightly by not preparing the right way, just copy from the what we call the submission file, just copy and then read everything. So therefore, you are taken more time and then less efficient, and so many things waste the time. Okay, so let we look on the proposed answer for this, and then you can compare with your answer. Okay, so let we look on the first question 1 that provided by group 2. So basically, this group, I didn't think that group understand the question and then focus on the focus the answer on the question. But since you have a leisure time and then a lot of time, you are gaining all the information from the various sources, and then you are putting in your answer. This is what I already said several times. There is a tendency for the student to put everything in their answer for them to get the maximum mark. But you are wasting the time, and then you are not really focused on your answer, because you can see the question do ask about the characteristic of the SAI. So your question should focus on the characteristic. What are the characteristics of that matter? Instead of you go everywhere and so many things, this is a waste of time. And then the second thing, you waste the resources. So you should focus on that matters by provide what are the Westminster model of SAI, because beside Westminster we have another model. So you need to able to highlight what are the Westminster model, and the second, you are concentrate on them what are the characteristics that can be able very rightly to differentiate between this model as compared to the other model. So in your presentation, yes, you highlight who are the heading and so on. But as I said, that you go more than that, which is you are taken a lot of time with the not so important thing by you not focus on the question. Okay, so the same thing goes to the group 7, which is group 7 is for me today is among the worst group in presenting the answer. The first thing is the question is more straightforward. We want you to discuss two aspects, scope and type. But first, in terms of the presentation, they just copy and then present without doing anything effort to show your group effort. So this is among the worst. And the second is you do not highlight or focus on the answer to discuss what are the scope, what are the type, but you are taught about just the copy from the FC Federal Constitution on the article, and then you provide everything what are the compliance audit by copying all the not all relevant sources without understanding actually what are the main point you should highlight. So we talk about the scope and the type. There is a two concept which is very close related between these two, because the scope, what are the scope? Because the question want you to talk about the scope and the type. So, and then you need to provide the right resources, which is if you talk about the compliance audit, for example, which is fall under which section or sources to support that. This is among the type of audit that need to be conducted by the NAD as a external auditor. Okay, and then question 3. So by the group A, this is also what we can say that I several times says that most of the students still don't understand the FMA process. But your answer still, you talk about you are living on this matter. So you just talk about the financial management chain process. Therefore, you provide the process, go from where. Your process, right, but you just answer about the financial management chain process, not financial management accountability chain process. So you can deliver in several ways. This is one of the way by we identify the responsible agency that are involved in the financial management accountability process and what are their accountability or responsibility. So, like for example, I do here, I give one full example of the Malaysian Federal Treasury. So, what are their responsibility? So, they are responsible on the formulate the national budget implementation, the budget approval, control the overall budget implementation. So, and then you can provide the chain process, which is what are the responsible in the first place during the budget formulation, and then until the budget implementation. So, and then second, we have the operating agencies, which is we have the ministries, department, responsibility center. This is the real spending agency. And then what are their responsibility? So what are their responsibility? Because we talk about the responsibility of the accountability. So among their accountable is to prepare the agency budget based on policy and guideline requirement provided by the FT. This is their responsibility. Not just prepare the individual agency budget based on what have they like, but they need to prepare based on the policy and guideline provided by the Treasury. Okay, and then we have the Accountant General Office, Auditor General Office, and the Parliament institution. So there is one way for you to deliver the accountability. So we talk about the accountability, not just about the financial management activity process or financial management chain process, but you are or meet the accountability. So you need to highlight what are the accountability. For example, here, if you talk about the process in the parliament, the process, this is a part and parcel of the procedure, not just talk about the accountability, but what are the accountability for the parliament, for example. So they need to responsible by scrutinize the executive decision on financial management. That is their accountability. They need to scrutinize. And then the next is how. This is the how. How by they have the debate, they have the oversight. This is the way. How. Not what are. So you are leaving the what are on that matters. Okay, and then question number 4 by the group 3. So describe the mechanism to measure the public sector performance. This group actually they have a right point, but they are missing on the what we say that the main important thing why we have several mechanism that can be used to measure the public sector performance. So means that this group are misunderstanding or miss point on the characteristic of the public sector itself. That's why in the public sector, some part we need to take consequently. We need to take together. We need to not just use one aspect of indicator or mechanism in measuring the performance. And then once you get the area of the mechanism that able to measure the performance, you need to explain by giving the right example for that. So I just give one, and then the rest you can follow the same method as I put in the A. Okay, and then for the question number 5, that is by the group 1. So this is talk about the parliament oversight, and then for this group 1 answer, they are not really focus on the oversight mechanism practice in Malaysia, because we are taught from the Malaysian perspective, not from a general. So your main point should go on Malaysia. But first, you need to explain what are the oversight, and then what kind of tool that fall under oversight, and then you focus in Malaysia. For example, in your answer, the answer by group 1, among the tools they say about the public hearing and so on. Are the public hearing have been conducted in Malaysia Parliament? If there is, you need to provide the example of that, or you just copy from the general statement from other countries, for example, and then you just say that, because the question specifically talk about Malaysia, in Malaysia, what have been practiced in Malaysia, and then you should not put it in general like that, in order to show that you are understand what actually the practice oversight tools that is practiced in Malaysian Parliament. Okay, and then question 6. I'm question 6 provided by the group number 4. So this group basically they give a right answer, but I'm a little bit surprised on the answer given on the impact, because she says that impact is impossible to measure. If impossible to measure, how can this is one of the indicators? Basically, if impossible to measure, it can be early step. We need to delete. We should not use impact as an indicator, because if you are unable to measure, how can it become the indicators? Totally out of that. If you understand, if you want to understand it better for you to relate with the budgeting system. In the output measurement normally been used when we are adopt the PPSB or MBS, because MBS and PPSB, they talk about the output, which is they are just focused on the short-term result. Outcome, this is come from the outcome-based budget. So which is the outcome-based budget. When the Malaysian adopt outcome-based budget, one of the indicator that had been measured in the performance measurement is the outcome. And then impact is normally being used when the government start introduce the NKRA, because in NKRA they are give more advance as compared to the outcome, which is the impact. The impact from the outcome and output provided by the organization based on the activity program they have been conduct. So, and then to make it you are more understand, I requires you provide the example of that matters. So you need to provide a very clear to differentiate between there. For example, here I give example of the output for the MOH is in terms of the service provided related with the machine. This is example of the output, because output is maybe in terms of the product or service. So what kind of service they are provided related with the machine? So what kind of service? So that is the output of that, and then from that we can measure based on the output. While the outcome example is this is in terms of the outcome could be that the curve for the COVID positive are stable. So that is to determine the outcome from there, because when we provide this machine service by provide that service kind of service, so we have a data and then we can see the outcome from there. So and then the outcome is normally represent the what we call the intermediate objective, and the impact is on the long term objective, maybe in terms of the improvement in the public safety. So therefore, if you are relate with the NKRA, you will be more clear about the impact. Okay, so the next question 7 by the group 5, this is also problem which is the group 5 provide not talk about the how, but more on the initiative taken by the NAD on the accountability. That is the main problem for the group 5 that they provide the answer for the question 7. So which is based on the views by the National Auditor General in Malaysia on the contribution of auditing in ensuring the better financial management accountability. So you need to provide this. So therefore, they are say that one of the is to emphasize and report on the measurement of result. So result again the target set, and then initiative that you are focused on actually this aspect only, but the initiative to enhance the professionalism. So because in order to contribute on that, so the person, in that case the auditor, must be a very good person, very professional. And then this is also by the government, not just by the auditor, but by the government, because this is the views from the auditor about that matters. Government should recognize the role of the NAD. Okay, and then question A and B. This is a very straightforward question, but the problem here is I think that the group 6 and group 9 do not refer directly to the guideline that have been effective in Malaysian public sector related with the AC and related with the IA. So, but I know you refer to the some of the article. As I said that article only be supported, but if we have a guideline, so the guideline as we are discussed in the topic 3 on the rules and regulation, you are not follow that is the requirement, because in the public sector, one of the characteristics of the public sector, they are bound by the rules and regulation. So please follow rule and regulation first. There is the general requirement on that matters. So this is among the roles and responsibility of the AC, and then the IA. Basically, there are two roles and responsibility of the IA is to conduct the FMA and to conduct the PA. Okay, and then the last question by the group number 10. So this is the 3 main performance measurement indicator. That is you can describe this matter, but please, when you are describe that, we are not talk about the copy lecture note as what have been practiced by the group 10. So especially on this KPI. So which is because in the lecture note I provide the implementation of the KPI, how to develop KPI and so on. Because this is to show whether you understand or not. So the question asks you to discuss 3 main performance measurement that been practiced in Malaysia. So we are not talking about the how to implement the KPI. If you do like that, you need to also explain for them the others, the 3 E's and the audit star rating and the NKRA. So you need to understand the boundaries of that. So what are the points that you need to highlight to answer the question? Because this is the important for you to tackle what are the question want you to answer, not what are you like to be answered. There is several times I taught from the beginning of the semester, I highlight the weaknesses of the student is they have a tendency to copy everything, putting everything in the answer script because they or she or he hope that with there they will get more point. But basically, you are waste the time of the lecturer to mark to find out whether you are understand or not. And then in the some case, we may deduct instead of you get the total mark, but you will get the less mark because it feel that you are not understand what you should answer, but you just copy or you may be cheating or you may be discussed with your friend. There is a lot of the uncertainties that is give you a negative thing. Okay, so that's all for today. So we have KPI and then NKRA on the star rating. So you can choose between these 4. Okay, so that's all for today.